To defy the odds, you have to risk everything and take chances. At Old Nation Brewing Company, we did just that. From an unknown startup brewery to standing alongside national craft brands in just under a decade, we remain one of the last of the large, independently owned breweries in Michigan. Our beer is respectfully brewed using only the highest quality ingredients, and we don't cut corners. With the times changing for everyone, one thing that stays the same is Old Nation's respect for great beer and the people who love it. We're growing in cans produced and fans made. When you taste our beer, you'll know why.
All right, 3 o'clock. Good to have you with us. If you want Red Wings discussion, we opened with it. It was your version of the Latte Larry Spite Store, Odyssey.com Rewind. But we want to turn our attention to the Lions a little bit. If you have a Red Wings opinion, we're happy to take your call. But let me just throw this out there. I heard Jim Costa make a comment this morning, and they didn't really get into the topic of it. So I'd like to, because I think it's actually a really interesting comment, which is there a divide or a disconnect within the Lions fan base where there is a portion of the fan base, and I'm not going to define the lines. I'm not going to do percentages. I just know there's enough of each where it's a complete pain in our ass. So there's a part of this fan base that, on this show, we call them bots, whether they're Steve bots, Brad bots, Scott bots. The organization does no wrong. Everything Brad Holmes does is perfection. Every player you sign is a Hall of Famer. Every player you let go is a shameless bum. There is a portion of the fan base. That's how you behave. That you believe you never need to make a splash. You never need to sign a big free agent. You just stay the course. The process. We're going to draft, develop, and sign, and it's all going to be okay, and we're going to win a Super Bowl. Then there's the other side of the fan base, or at least a big portion, that say, look, we love the work that Brad has done, and we love that the Lions are good again. But being good for a prolonged time without ever being great is a road to immense frustration, and no one, not even the bots, will end up happy. Example, the Baltimore Ravens. They've been good for a while. It has won them nothing. So here's what I'm asking. I want to know, now, as the Lions sit here, this is not a referendum on Holmes. This is not to suggest that they have failed or succeeded. It is where they are today as you've replaced Carlton Davis with DJ Reed. Do I believe DJ Reed is this exponential improvement? No, I do not. I think he's a good player. I think Carlton Davis is a good player. I don't think one is great and one is now homeless. I like the contract. You've retained Derek Barnes. Player's good, much like John Jansen. I don't like the contract. You brought back Marcus Davenport. You're paying him in chunky soup because he's never healthy. And Melifonwu, who many in the fan base yelled at Rico and I about, that he was essentially a combination of Dick Night Train Lane and Ronnie Lott, has gotten a prove-it deal from the Miami Dolphins. That's the offseason thus far. So with it, here's my question. I am going to offer you something. And by the way you answer it, I think you're telling me what group you're in. Choice A, Rico. The process. And you just stay the course, draft, develop, and sign your own. You're not going all in, and you're going to be good for the next 4 years. Can't guarantee anything, but you'll be good. Or choice B. All in, F them picks, restructure, spend, A+ effort only. You have your best shot at a Super Bowl the next 2 years, and then the future is wholly uncertain. Which of those describes you as a fan? Which camp are you in? Because I think that is distinctly a line in the sand as it pertains to Lion fan.
Right. I would say this. I think if Lions fans really were honest with themselves, they're in camp 1 or A.
Mm-hmm.
They just want to be good and relevant. Why? Because for years you were a joke. You were the punchline of the league. every year the draft was the Super Bowl. You'd just rather be good and consistently good year in and year out. You love hearing people talk about how good your team are. You love seeing your team on national televised games. You love seeing your team in the graphics. You love all the positive things because you've never had that before. It's It's like the poor kid who all of a sudden, I got money now and I can buy a car and I don't have to share a room with 5 people. It's like, that's where they are right now. And if they're really honest with themselves, yeah, a Super Bowl is nice, but the fact that you are no longer a have-not, but you're a have, you'll stay a have for as long as you possibly can. And if that means you don't win a Super Bowl, but you've been good, I think deep down they're okay with that. And then I was like, no, I want to win the Super Bowl.
Do you?
But I don't think you really want to win the Super Bowl because you don't want the risk of, well, what if it doesn't work? You want the safe. And if you want safe, that means you want to be relevant. And I think that's where a lot of Lions fans are right now.
Okay, Kenny. Actually, Kenny is screening calls, and I apologize. Or now Kenny is going to talk. Okay. Kenny, what choice A, choice B, and do you think I've accurately described the two camps in Lion fandom right now?
I think you've accurately described the camps as far as which one I'm in. And I don't know if Rico's going to believe me when I say this because he's looping a lot of Lions fans into one camp. And I think he's right about that, actually. I think a lot of Lions fans do want to be relevant for as long as humanly possible. Yeah. Keep this window open.
And that's not a bad
possible.
thing because you've been a joke and people made fun of you. You were 0-16.
People told you would never be this.
Right.
But so I view it that if Brad is so special, you can go all in, retool it, go all in again. You know how I know it? We've watched it in Philadelphia to the tune of 3 Super Bowls. Howie Roseman has gone all in, rebuilt it, all in again, won it.
And that's exactly the point that I was going to make, Mike, is that if you actually believe so much in Brad Holmes, then you can go all in, and then you can start from the ground up again and do it all over. If he's that unicorn of a GM, if you think he's that good, I mean, I get the trust the process people and the process, but I'd rather make A+ moves than B- moves.
So that's the question. And again, I think
Kenny, hold on. But I'm sorry, Mike, but it's not B- moves, Kenny. It's B+ moves.
Okay, fine. I'd still rather make A+ moves and potentially win a Super Bowl.
It's not A moves, but it's B+ moves, and B+ is good. B+ gets you 11, 12, 13 wins a season. You're in the playoffs every year. Maybe you win a couple games.
You know what it is I've felt what it felt like to be in that NFC title game. I felt that, and I wanted more, and I still want more. That's where my headspace is at. Roberts.
But yeah, you're right. Certain organizations, I mean, case in point, I'm watching the Niners retooling on the fly. Maybe bad for a couple years.
Right, you went all in. Yeah. You made 2 Super Bowls. You should have made a 3rd.
Right.
You can't ask for more. There are no, I love when people go, well, you can't guarantee it. There are no guarantees. You can't guarantee you wake up tomorrow morning. You can't guarantee you don't die in a car crash. So why would you make guarantees on winning a Super Bowl? You can't.
Say that to the people in the back. Well, if you make this move, it doesn't mean they're necessarily going to. And that tells me you're not ready to sit at that table. And if you're still worried about, well, what if this doesn't happen? That's still that old way of thinking.
What camp are you in as you listen to it on a beautiful Tuesday afternoon? Are you in camp A? You stick to the plan. We don't need to F them picks and go all in. And I want to be good for a long time. Or are you choice B? I don't care about being good. I need to be great once. I need to be great once and win it. And therefore, I'm going to follow the model that you do everything you can do, which the Lions, candidly, are not doing. That's not a shot. Oftentimes, you don't do everything you can do because it can be injurious. Mm-hmm. But in this case, that they haven't. They have a plan in place. Brad has talked about we have future contract obligations. We have a plan. They're not going all in. I want to know where you're at. 248-539-9797. Hey, Kenny, you know where Campy's at? Home.
Hey.
Just hate to see it.
You know what, Kenny? It went to overtime.
Yeah.
They didn't.
Yeah. That was coaching malpractice from what I've heard.
What? Mistakes were made.
What?
It's your school.
This was the opposite of the Tom Amansky baseball video that gets results.
Mistakes were made.
And you just...
I did hate to see it. I hated to see it. I was rooting for them.
All righty. Good for you.